My son is pulling away from me. Is this agony of a mother true? Hi friends. Welcome to Marriage Realities, a comprehensive relationship channel. This video is all about the common emotional pain a mother undergoes after the marriage of a son. My son is pulling away from me after his marriage. I'm sure, like most mothers, you too feel that your son no longer loves you after the advent of his wife into his life. Why do you feel that your son no longer loves you as he usually did after his marriage? Before his marriage, your son always looked upon you for his emotional support and emotional well-being. Your son asked your advice before taking any important decisions about his life. And he always listened to the advice given by you, as he felt only you know what is best for him more than anyone else. He shared all his problems with you before his marriage. Your son always informed you about his whereabouts before his marriage. He never forgot your birthdays and gifted you lavishly before his marriage. Your son shared his day-to-day activities with you before his marriage. Before his marriage, your son makes you feel that you're the most important person in his life and you build your whole world around him. You're sure that your little boy will always be your little boy, looking up to you for everything. But you're in for a shock at the transformation your son undergoes after his marriage. Your son no longer spends as much time with you as he did before his marriage. He never confides his emotions to you as he did before his marriage. You do not know about the whereabouts of your son as he does not inform you about it. Your son now listens to what his wife says and not to you. Where is my son who literally clung up to me for all his needs? Your motherly mind literally screams aloud in agony because of the changed attitude of your son towards you. You're emotionally shattered when your kid boy suddenly turns into an adult man and becomes seemingly distant and aloof from you. Has my son lost his love for me? You often ask yourself in anguish. I'm sure my daughter-in-law is the villain behind my son's emotional distance from me, you tell yourself. Your mind seethes in unhappiness and confusion about the reasons behind the changed attitude of your son after his marriage, doesn't it? This sort of unhappy state of mind you undergo after your son's marriage is very common to mothers all over the world. West or east, a mother's love for her son is very possessive and clinging. You want your son all for yourself. You would not share your son with anyone else, not even with his wife. This possessiveness you feel about your son is the reason behind the conflict that erupts between you and your daughter-in-law. Your kid boy who clung to you for attention now makes you beg for his attention, doesn't he? Your son who called you daily before his marriage rarely calls you after his marriage. Your son who shared all information about him before his marriage scarcely talks about what he does with his life after his marriage. You knew about the salary, promotion of your son before his marriage, but he becomes secretive and guarded about his income after his marriage. All these changes signifies that your son is pulling away from you after his marriage, doesn't it? You're in the wrong. The mistake you make as a mother is you expect your son to be a kid boy after his marriage also. You fail to understand that after his marriage, the responsibilities and commitments of your son have increased. And as your son has a family of his own, his priorities too have changed. Your son has his own family to think about. He has his wife to whom he is answerable to. Your son has to work harder for the betterment of his family. After his marriage, the financial commitments of your son increase. And the need for money also double folds. Your son spends more time with his wife than with you because his life is now with her. He becomes more committed towards his family than to you. He confides about his whereabouts to his wife than to you. Your son forgets gifting you after his marriage as he is too preoccupied in fulfilling his duties towards his own family. When your son forgets your birthdays after his marriage, you're emotionally shattered. My son no longer loves me. Again and again, you feel unhappy about the lost love of your son. Again, you're wrong in feeling so. You should understand that before his marriage, your son had only you to share his feelings with. But now your son has his wife with whom he can share his feelings and emotions. When your son has his wife to look after his needs, a small but definite distance between you and your son happens. How should you overcome the trauma you're undergoing because of your feelings that your son is pulling away from you? Do not centralize your total life on your son. Understand that your son will change his priorities according to his situation. And as a man, your son will not be bounded to you emotionally as your daughter is. You should also realize that your daughter-in-law can never be your daughter. She'll be emotionally distant from you. Even if your daughter-in-law does not interfere into your relationship with your son, he would definitely change from being clinging to you because his priorities have changed. Feel happy that your kid's son has become responsible and committed after his marriage. He is no longer the carefree boy who followed you around as if you were his whole world. Your son feels grown up after his marriage, and the mindset of sharing his problems with you no longer arises in him. When you make the life of your son torturous by questioning him about his love, he withdraws further away from you. As the commitments of your son as a family man grows, you might go further and further down his priority list. Does all these changes signify that your son is pulling away from you? No. Not at all. Realize the simple truth that the world of your son has expanded. Think back about your married days. Your husband did not have the same relationship he had with his mother after he married you, didn't he? Your husband became committed to you after he married you. But you knew he loved his mother, didn't you? It is the same with your son. He loves you. He feels responsible towards you. But his world has changed. Your son now wants to feel grown up. He wants a space. He wants to feel like a man. Your son is sure that as his loving mother you will understand him. But sadly, you make your son feel guilty by picking up fights with him. Do not force your son to be a mama's boy. If you do so, he will never evolve into a mature person. And when you make him be a mama's boy, his wife will definitely pick up fights with you. After his marriage, your son loves you in a more mature way. He no longer feels like a child with you. These changes are part of his growing up. Unless you step back and respect this necessary transformation of your son, you can never be happy. If you do not understand that your son is now a family man and so would behave in a more mature manner with you, it just means that you do not really know your little boy. Did this video make you understand that your son is not pulling away from you? Your son has just evolved into a mature person. Marriage Realities will have many such relationship eye-openers. Subscribe to my channel to understand your marriage in a new light. Press the bell icon for updates about my latest relationship videos. Make love forever until death do us part your relationship goal.